In today's video, we will be going through the process of creating Amazon Relational Database Service or RDS cluster. And once we have our cluster created, I will also be showing you how you can connect locally to your cluster using some of the most popular SQL client tools. And the two tools that we'll be using today to connect to our cluster are DBeaver SQL client tool and MySQL Workbench. Okay, so we'll be using these two SQL clients to connect to our RDS cluster. All right, so let's get to it. All right, before we jump into the demo, I will quickly go through a very high level overview of what AWS RDS is. But if you just want to see the part of the video where I start the demo, then you can skip ahead. All right, so what is AWS RDS? AWS RDS stands for Amazon Relational Database Service and is a managed database service that simplifies database setup, operation, and scaling. It supports multiple database engines such as MySQL, PostgreSQL, SQL Server, as well as Oracle. Okay? And the key features of AWS RDS include automated backups and snapshots, scalability and performance optimization, multi-AC deployments for high availability, built-in monitoring and metrics with Amazon CloudWatch, as well as some other security features like encryption at rest and in transit. And the benefits of using AWS RDS include easy to set up and manage, cost efficient with pay-as-you-go pricing. You also get high availability and reliability, and you can seamlessly integrate with other AWS services. It also supports major database engines, and these are the engines that are currently supported. So again, we have MySQL, PostgreSQL, MariaDB, Microsoft SQL Server, and Oracle database. Alright, so these are the database engines that RDS supports, and as you can see, these are mostly transactional based database engines. So RDS is a OLTP transactional based service in AWS. If you're running analytics, then the service that you want to use for that is Redshift. But if you're running mostly online transactional based databases, then this is the service that you may want to use, RDS. Okay, that is a very quick overview. There is a lot more that you can talk about when we talk of RDS, but I don't want to bore you through the process. I'm sure you can read it. But if you want me to go into the details of RDS, let me know in the comment section and I can do another video where we can do deep dive into what RDS is. Alright, so let's get into the demo now. I will go ahead into my AWS account, and if you don't have AWS account created, you can go ahead and sign up one. If you just go here and say AWS console here, you can see I believe you should be able to see Amazon sign up here, right? Okay, so you can go to Amazon sign up, put your email, and then you can verify, and you should be able to get logged in. So just follow the steps here in order to have your AWS account created. I think you do get about 365 days or basically a year of free credit. And once you are signed in, what you want to do in order to go to RDS section is go to search right here and just type RDS. You can also browse in all services here. If you go to all applications, you can browse and look for RDS. But mostly I find this one to be the easiest way to look for a service if you know the service that you're looking for. So just type here RDS, and as you can see here, you will see Managed Relational Database or RDS. We'll go ahead and open it. So just open it in a new window, and this is how the dashboard looks like for RDS. Okay, so this is the dashboard for RDS. And as you can see here, we don't have any resources currently in our RDS dashboard. For example, for DB instances, I don't have any DB instances actively running at the moment. And it seems like I have 3 snapshots, parameter groups, you get 4 defaults, and some of these other configurations here. But this is how the dashboard looks like. You can go into the database section here. You'll see that we don't have any database currently running. For the query editor section here, RDS provides you with a query editor, but there's a caveat: only if you're running Aurora serverless database. If you're not running Aurora database service, then you do need to connect to a SQL client, either within AWS environment or outside AWS environment. And in this video, we will be using DBeaver and MySQL Workbench running locally in our local laptop. Okay, so for this case, because we are not creating Aurora serverless database, we will not be able to query directly from the dashboard here. All right. So just quickly to mention that you do also get this capability in case you are running Aurora serverless. All right. You get performance insights, snapshots, export to S3, and automated backups. All of these features you can get with AWS RDS. So let's go ahead and create our database now. And to do that, just you see this button here saying create database, and we will go ahead and just hit this button. And right here, these are the options that you do have. So we need to choose the database creation method, and there are two ways of doing this. If you want to configure it, so this gives you the option of selecting or basically customizing your setup. So this is the standard create. The other option you have here is this one for easy create, and as you can see, this one says use recommended best practice configurations, and some of the configuration options can be changed after the database is created. So this one gives you a template that you can just hit and then you go ahead and create it. But for this video, we will go with standard create. So because we want to select the engine that we want to use. And for the engine options, we will create a MySQL database for this. You can also choose Postgre, Oracle, MariaDB, SQL Server, or IBM DB2. But for this video, we will go with MySQL. All right, so we scroll down here. You can see here this comes with the MySQL Community Edition, so that is fine. And if you have a version, for example, if you're doing migrations and there is a specific MySQL version that you are using, then you can select it from the list here. So we do have a number of MySQL versions here, and for me, I'm just going to select the latest one here, 8.4.3. Okay, and then when we scroll down here, you can choose here a template to meet your use case. So if you're running in production environment and you want to create a MySQL instance for your production environment, then you can choose this option here. And as you can see, this one comes with other deployment options. So if you want multi-AC DB cluster, you can choose this first option. You can also choose multi-AC DB instance, the second one here. So the first one here creates a DB cluster with primary DB instance with 2 readable standby instances. And then the second one here creates a primary DB instance with a standby DB in different AC. All right. Or you can also just create a single DB instance. So there are these 3 different options here. So you can just choose which one best suits you. And then additionally, you can also do the same if you have a test environment or a dev environment where you want to create your MySQL instance on. For this video, we'll go with a free tier because this is just for demo. And as you can see, this one, you don't get these options for multi-AC and whatnot. All right, so we'll just go with the free tier. And when we go to the settings down here, we will just put the name of our database, and I will call this CK Datatech. All right. And for the credentials, we need to set the username. So you can put the username here. I will leave this one as admin for the username, and we will select self-managed for the password. So this means we want to set the password for our DB cluster, and I will just go ahead and do that. I will just put my password right here. All right, and then when we scroll down here, you can see the type of instance that we have chosen here. We went with DB Micro. micro one, and this is a free tier one. Okay, so this is the option that we have for this because of free tier. And for the storage here, we can choose the storage for this. You are allocated 20 GB of memory as default, but you can increase this if you want. All right, so if you want, for example, you can go here to 100. So we'll put this one 100 for the allocated storage, but you can just leave it as 20. It doesn't matter. You know, if you want more storage, then you can increase that. You can choose this option for auto scaling here, also for storage. In case your workloads increase and you want more space, it can automatically scale up for you up to 1000. So I'm okay with that. We'll leave it there. And then for connectivity, we will just leave this one selected. Don't connect to EC2 compute, and we will use the IP4 network type. I'm fine with that. For the VPC, you can create a new VPC or leave the default one. I'm okay with the default one. And right here for public or public access versus no public accessibility, I'm going to choose here public access, and this is actually important because we are connecting locally from our SQL client tools. If you don't do that, then you will not be able to connect from your local environment. Okay, what we'll do with this one though is once we do the public access for this, we will set the security group to only read from our IP address, the IP address for your machine. Okay, so that's what we'll do later once we have our database created. And then for this VPC security group, you can choose existing or create a new one. I'm just going to choose the default one for this, but you can create a new security group if you want. And then I don't have any preference for the availability zone, but you can also select it if you want that. And then I think that's it. That is pretty much what we have. Okay, so you can just quickly do a run through. We chose the MySQL engine for this, and then we chose the latest version. We went with the free tier, and then we set our password for our admin username, and set our storage, and pretty much that's it. Okay, we went with the public access for this, and that's it. All right, so we'll go ahead and hit create. Okay, so this might take a few minutes. So this might take between 8 to 12 minutes, I believe. So we'll let it create, and we'll come back once we have the database created. All right, so it looks like our database now is available. You can see from the status here saying available. So that took about 10 to 15 minutes to get ready. So we can click into this, and we can see some of the setup and configurations that we have for our database. So for example, this is our endpoint for our database. So this is the one that we can use to connect to this database, and the port by default, because this is MySQL, is 3306. All right, so you can also see here it says this is publicly accessible, and this is your VPC security group and the associated subnets. All right, so now the question that you have here is, how do you query this database? All right, how do you query this database? There is no query editor. If you go to the editor here, like I mentioned, this is not available for MySQL. It's only available if you're running Aurora serverless database. But the one that we created is a MySQL database engine. So this is the engine here, as you can see here. So we are not able to query or even create databases within AWS for this. So then the next step that we'll need to do is to connect to this database locally using our SQL client tools. And the first tool that we will use is a DBeaver for this. So we'll go to DBeaver, and we will go ahead and hit create. So once you have your DBeaver available, just go to database section. Now, if you don't have DBeaver downloaded, I did a video where I went through the process of downloading DBeaver on Mac environment. So I will put the link for that video in the description so that you can go watch it in case you want to know how to download DBeaver. Alright, so once you have your DBeaver available, just go to this section up here in the menu saying database, and you hit new database connection. I think you can also go to this section here. You have a add button here, and you can see the same add database right here. If you look here, it says new database connection as well, and you can select from the number of options here. Okay, so that's also another way of doing that. So I'm just going to go here and go to new database connection, and DBeaver provides you with connections to a lot of databases. The database that we want to connect to is MySQL database, because this is the engine that we are connecting to in AWS. If you don't see it here, so you can also type it and search for it, MySQL database, this one right here. Okay, so we'll go ahead and select that and then hit next. And right here, this is where we enter now our database information. So we need to enter the server host for this. So we will go to our AWS RDS dashboard here, and as you can see, again, if you go to the connectivity and security tab, you will see the endpoint right here. So all we have to do is just copy this endpoint, and we need to paste it right here. Okay, and then the port remains 3306 for this. I don't have the database name created for this, so I'm not going to choose this. I will leave this as empty. And then for the password, sorry, for the username, we'll put a username, and then we will also enter the password that we created when we were creating our RDS cluster. All right, so I will enter the password for that. And then down here you can see the driver name is MySQL, and the rest of these things I think should for this one I'm not going to choose anything else right here. So what we need to do next before we hit finish is test the connection. Okay, now what we expect to see here is timeout. All right, and I did this deliberately because I want to show you how you can set the security group so that it accepts incoming connections from your device or from your local machine. So I'm just going to hit here test connection, and this one is going to time out. All right, so because we don't have our database security group created to accept connection from this machine, you can see that the connection timed out. All right, so how do we resolve this issue? Okay, so this is a very common error that you will see if you are trying to connect from your local machine to RDS cluster. So the next thing that we need to do now is to go to our security group. So if you open your database again, you will see security group that you used to create, and as you can see, this one is the default security group that we chose when we were creating this database. All right, or when we were creating this instance. So all we have to do is just open this one. So we go to this security group, and if you go to the security group ID, you will see that we don't have any rule here in the inbound rules to accept connections on port 3360. So let's go ahead and do that. So again, the rule that you want to set is this one for inbound rules, because we want to accept connections coming from our machine. So this is inbound rule. So you go to edit inbound rules and add a rule, and the rule that we want to add is for, I think there's an option here for MySQL and Aurora. Okay, so you can choose this. Just go ahead and select this one for MySQL Aurora, and by default you can see the range, the port range here that's selected for you is 3306. Now for the source, you can actually, just to limit the connections that are coming into your account, what we need to do here is just select my IP. So if you select my IP right here, your IP will be pre-selected automatically. Okay, so AWS will know that this is the machine and the IP address for your machine, so it's going to populate here, right here. Okay, so this is how you want to do this if you want to only accept or to whitelist connections from your local machine. Okay, so once you have this one selected, then the only thing that you need to do next is just save the rules. All right, so you now have your inbound rule set, and now let's go back and try that connection again. So we will go ahead and try the connection again. Public key retrieval is not allowed. Okay. Okay, so looks like there's additional error here, and the error here says public key retrieval is not allowed. So I believe this is a DBeaver related driver setting. So let's see if we can see for that public key retrieval. I think we need to change that to true. I think by default it is set to false. So let's see if we can find that public key retrieval. Okay, so you can see here it says allow public key retrieval, and this one is currently set to false. So let's see if we can change this to true. And then let's okay, so we'll just go back here now. We've changed this to true. Let's go back to our setup here and try that again. All right, so we are successfully connected now. Okay, so that's just an error here. If you see it again, just go to allow public retrieval key and just set it to true, and go ahead and test your connection. All right, so we are successfully able now to connect to our database. So we will go ahead and hit OK here, and then just click finish. All right, so now you can see that we can now connect to our DBeaver right here. All right, so that means that we are successfully able to connect to a database or a AWS instance. And as you can see, we currently don't have any database. So we'll go ahead and create a database for this. So I'm just going to bring here a table, a script here to create as a table. So we will open SQL editor script here, and I will paste this command. But before we do the table itself, we do need to create a database. So I'm just going to create a database here, create database, and we will call this one demo db. Okay, so we'll create this database. This one, the database is created. We will also go ahead and switch to this database. So we use demo db. Okay, so we'll switch to this database here, and we'll go ahead and create our table. Okay, so our table is created, and we will go ahead here and insert to this table. There we go. All right, so we have our data now inserted into our table. If we refresh here, we should be able to see our database created right there, demo db, and also a table as well, users, and we can view the data for this. All right, so this is just the data that we entered for this table right here. Okay, so this is our table now, and if you want, you can also query this table. So query users, and you should be able to run our queries now, or run your queries. All right, so this is one way of connecting to your RDS from DBeaver. The other tool that I wanted to show you is MySQL Workbench. The process should be pretty straightforward also for that. So just open MySQL Workbench, and if you don't have it, just download it from MySQL website. And once we have the SQL Workbench here, we will go ahead and create connections. So just go to MySQL connections, and I will just call this one my RDS cluster. We will put the port here. Sorry, I need to copy. Not the port. We need to copy the endpoint for our RDS cluster. So we'll just do that, and we will come and put it here in the host section. The port will remain as 3306. We will put the username here, and we store the password in the keychain. All right, and we click OK, and we'll go ahead and test the connection for this. Okay, so here this one is incompatible, but anyway, I think the MySQL Workbench here is not compatible with the 8.3, the one that we created for RDS. But I'll just click continue for this. And as you can see, we have successfully made the connection. So we'll just go ahead and hit OK, and I hit OK. All right, so we are now able to also connect from MySQL Workbench to our RDS cluster. And if you open your cluster now, again, this is the same warning. We'll just hit OK with this. You can see if you switch now, you are in the administration tab. If you switch to schemas, you should be able to see your data now. All right, so this is a database that we created in our DBeaver client, and users is the table that we created. So you can query and you will see the same data. Okay, so from here now, it's just a matter of which SQL client will you prefer more than the other. It's not just limited to these two tools. If you have another SQL client tool that you like the most, you should be able to connect to your AWS and query your data. All right, so these are the two tools that I just wanted to show you in this video, DBeaver and a SQL client. All right, and then from here now you can start using your database. Okay, so you can start creating your data, creating your users, granting permissions, and things like that. But successfully we have made the connection to our RDS cluster using DBeaver tool. So again, very important, you do need to have the security group accepting connections from your local machine if you want to be able to use these tools. So that's a very important thing that you need to do for this. Other than that, I think the other one is to make when you're creating the instance, you have to make it publicly accessible. I will try next time to make a video if we choose the other option for private. If you're using private subnet and if you're using private VPC, how can we connect from our local environment? So I'll try to do some research on that, and I will make that video in the coming videos. All right, so again, in this video, that's what I wanted to show you guys. I wanted to show you how you can create your RDS instance and connect to it locally using DBeaver and MySQL client. Alright guys, that's all I had for you in this video. I just wanted to show you how you can create your RDS cluster and connect to it locally using SQL client tools like DBeaver and MySQL Workbench, and these are the tools that we used in this video. And as you can see, we were able to successfully connect to our database and create a sample table, and we were also able to query the data from our SQL client tools. Alright, let me know in the comment section what you think of this video, and definitely give thumbs up to the video, and if you have not subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe. I also encourage you to check some of the other videos that I've done in AWS and DBT and GCP as well. Again, if those are the topics that you are interested in, please do subscribe to the channel. I will be releasing more videos in the coming days, so you don't want to be left out. Definitely do subscribe to the channel and also give thumbs up to this video. Alright guys, I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.